climate change,
education,
healthcare,
disruptions of technological innovations,
income inequality,
environmental, social, and corporate governance.
Nearly 50 years ago, the Yale School of Management was founded with the idea of providing a better way to educate leaders for business and society. Today, that mission is more relevant than ever. It must be evident in all we do. At Yale SOM, our founding mission is our driving purpose: educating leaders for business and society.
The founding of the Yale School of Management was founding a school that was quite different than business schools that were already out there. We weren't a business school. We were a management school.
Anyone who goes into business or who goes into other management roles in public institutions, private or nonprofit institutions, is looking to influence society in a positive way.
It is not just a slogan at SOM. I think not only is there an expectation for when you leave that you're going to have a positive impact, there is a culture while you're there at the school that you're learning these tools to do something good.
for me, coming to business school, the biggest factor was I wanted to be in a place where, the business interests aren't decoupled with societal interests, where they're teaching you both things together.
SOM seems like a more mindful space, a space where you thought about leadership more holistically, and you thought about not just how you can build a company's bottom line, but how you can give back and how you can actually make the world a better place for everyone.
For me, first of all, the people matter here. We are up to something, and then the people who come contribute. They're part of how we wind up operationalizing it because we're small enough for each person to matter.
So if you look at a student body, they're incredibly diverse in terms of not just geography and international body, but the type of companies they work for. When you bring in this diverse people together in a room, you're going to address questions differently.
I was fascinated when I joined that it's so diversified. I was assuming coming to a business school, maybe more people are focusing on finance or business driven. But I actually find like my classmates and my cohort are from so many different backgrounds.
Sitting where I am today, a couple decades out, it's that diversity in dialogue, in discussion in the classroom that's been critical to really becoming an impactful leader.
Today, business is evolving, it's radically changing, so that we're no longer looking at, as a business leader, I have to take care of my business. Now, as a business leader, I have to think about the society and the environment that sits around my business.
We see ongoing issues around the world, humanity, environmental, etc. And Yale SOM really challenge us to think critically about our problems and think about how we can make an impact after leaving here.
I think Yale forms kind of like an army for the good, in which we become multipliers of the impact, knowledge, and how to make really the world a better place.
Welcome, everybody. It's wonderful to be here with you today at this pivotal moment in the history of the Yale School of Management. Although the world is slowly opening back up, we decided to hold this event virtually. Ours is a global community, and it is important to us that everyone wishing to participate today be able to do so. If you turn your cameras on, I can see all your faces on this screen as I talk. Actually, let's bring up all of the Zoom screens behind me. So, I see you, Tino, and Mary. Is that Mary over there? I see you, John. Thanks so much for coming, everybody. All of you know of and care about SOM's special, distinctive mission: educating leaders for business and society. How wonderful.
how ambitious, how important, how timely is this mission that defines and animates us. Whatever the sector or industry, now more than ever before, it is not possible to be a truly successful leader in business by attending only to the bottom line while ignoring the effects of one's activities on workers, customers, communities, and the planet more generally. It's not possible. Similarly, has it ever been more evident how crucial, how necessary is the role business must play in addressing the problems that affect society? From earnings inequality to climate change to international geopolitics, I could go on. We are here to officially launch the Yale School of Management campaign. Over the next 4 years, we will collectively make a concerted effort to increase our fundraising and our engagement in ways that strengthen and expand our school's activities. By every measure, SOM has done so much and come so far in recent years. And now we have a chance to ensure that all of our activities are truly reflective of the grandness of our mission and vision, and to provide them with the resources of human and financial capital needed to exponentially increase our impact. Our campaign is part of the recently launched overarching Yale campaign, which is called For Humanity. The aspiration of the Yale campaign aligns with our mission, reflecting the individual and collective efforts of our students, staff, faculty, alumni, and friends who seek the betterment of humanity. The name we have chosen for the SOM campaign is inspired by who we are and by what we believe and strive relentlessly through our various efforts to achieve. We will call our campaign Driving Purpose. This forward-looking and dynamic name reflects our distinctive mission as the force that fuels all of our efforts. It captures our school's determination to not rest on our laurels, but to work relentlessly to more fully realize our institutional aspirations. It also captures what personally energizes you, our alums, as you strive every day to live out your lives and work, exhibiting the values we jointly share. The Yale School of Management is a special community in which bright and motivated young professionals, drawn from all over the world, with different backgrounds and work experiences, but united by a shared belief in our mission, interact closely with each other in and out of classrooms and across co-curricular activities, while drawing upon the intellectual and artistic resources of one of the world's greatest universities. In a residential experience, our students are taught and debate ideas, cases, and research findings, adopting always the multi-stakeholder perspective of our unique integrated curriculum. And consistent with our mission, SOMers have always pushed our school to be impactful, to take on pressing social issues, and to seek always to improve the world. Our school has done all of these well, but we can, indeed we must, do better still. Our Driving Purpose campaign will be organized around 3 broad areas that form the core of our identity as a school. Developing leaders is one of these. Attracting and supporting the best set of students possible. The most able, the most diverse, the most passionate students. Ours is not a school for every business student, and that's fine. But for those special students, those students whose skills and values align with ours, this campaign will help ensure that concern about their ability to fund their education should not prevent them from joining and contributing to our community and later to the world beyond. The second broad area of our campaign will be advancing knowledge, giving our faculty the resources to bring rigorous scholarship to bear on business, societal, and environmental challenges, enabling them to launch and run imaginative initiatives, and to teach in exciting and novel ways. Amplifying impact will be the third broad area of our Driving Purpose campaign, allowing SOM to make an impactful difference in our immediate community and in communities around the globe. Our Driving Purpose campaign seeks your support and even more, your engagement. There could not be a more propitious time for this effort. The rest of the world, I notice, is slowly coming around to the realization of the fundamental importance of the conjunction of business and society. That's good. I'm happy that's happening. But that's something we've believed and acted upon for nearly half a century now. We cannot be complacent. We must strive ever harder. The rapidly changing business world and an ever-shifting set of new societal challenges demand no less. We must reinvigorate our vision and our mission. We must constantly seek out new initiatives that only our special school can ably undertake. These things that we wish to do will not be possible without the contributions of all of our stakeholders, our faculty, our dedicated staff, our generous friends, our students, our alums. We are deeply grateful that you have joined us today. What you do has a tremendous impact at SOM. When you give, when you volunteer, when you advise a student, when the dean asks you to make a call to an admit and you do so, when you connect with your classmates, you lift us all. We're all stronger together. This is the beginning of our campaign, our shared journey. Let's get going.
The connection between business and society has long been understood at Yale SOM. We teach the best business, management, and leadership skills and provide opportunities for leadership development through clubs, internships, and our global programs. At Yale SOM, developing leaders is a driving purpose. Educating leaders for business and society, in the classroom and the real world.
The academic research on CEOs and other types of business leaders has shown that firms are increasingly hiring generalists rather than those with just firm-specific or industry-specific skills. You're more likely to be successful if you have a broader perspective.
Most business schools teach certain skill sets, right? Whether it's finance, marketing, and organizational behavior, right? Just to name a few. The difference is that at Yale SOM is an integrated curriculum.
My experience at SOM has been that they train you towards the leader that you would like to become. There's no one mold of business leadership, and those were cues I got very early on in the admissions process.
I've been really excited to take courses on like management and leadership now, which I hadn't thought about before. So whether that's a course on emotional intelligence, I feel like inspired now to want to pick those up in a different way.
And interacting with your classmates who are from like a very different background, very international background, is very, very helpful to get you knowledge that not only came from your professor, but also from your classmates, from like the dialogues you have, even during lunch. So it's very, very insightful.
We try to create programs that are multidisciplinary in nature, and I think as a student, you not only get to take classes outside of the School of Management, which is unique to business schools, but you also get to engage with students, faculty, and researchers from across the university to really push forward that multidisciplinary approach to problem solving.
We have tremendous expertise in the Yale School of Management among the faculty to teach these courses, but we also bring in some of the most famous asset managers in the world who've worked with Yale for a long time. It's a great program, and we're really excited about it.
I've been surprised at how quickly I've been able to grow in just a 2-year period of time. So, the program here has really set out to help me become a better business leader, and I think it's doing an incredible job.
One thing that I hope to see happen with this campaign is that SOM is able to offer more scholarships. We've had a great track record of investing in buildings and in professors, and I hope that continues, but that we really strive to develop more people and programs.
I received a scholarship from Yale SOM, and that definitely has been great support, and I'm really thankful for that opportunity. It has allowed me to basically come into the program and get the right set of skills that I need for me to basically pay it forward and create an impact to the community.
The first substantial gift I made to SOM was for loan forgiveness. And the reason I chose that is I thought of all of the friends I went to school with who chose to enter fields in government, not-for-profit, or start in business and move around, for whom there were financial challenges, but they wanted to be able to do something that they loved and where they thought they could make a big difference. And I felt that loan forgiveness was a great place to invest.
What I really learned at SOM is this idea of leadership as inclusion, as kind of building up those around you. And I think I had a very different view of leadership before coming here. Training students and teaching students to think in that way, to include and build each other up, I think is so valuable, which is why, SOM students go on to be so successful, because that's the type of leader that the world needs right now.
Hi, I'm Dan Weiss, the President and CEO of the Metropolitan Museum of Art and a member of the class of '85 at SOM. And I'm really delighted to be here with you, as well as with my colleagues, Anna and Daniel. And we're going to talk a little bit about developing leaders. And I'll start with my own story. Like many of you, when I applied to SOM, it was really with a clear understanding of what it is that SOM has to offer that makes the school distinctive from other business schools. I had done my research, I was aware of what those opportunities were, and I was absolutely thrilled when I was admitted, because I had the feeling then, and indeed all these years later, I still have the feeling that that moment was going to change my life, that it was going to provide experiences and opportunities for me that would help me understand how to channel my passion, how to direct my energies in productive ways, and build a career that made sense given who I am. So when I was at SOM, I was really looking for the opportunity to do a couple of things that I thought I could learn and achieve there. The first was the most obvious and in some ways the most basic, and that is to learn the basic content skills that one needs to have to be a leader, to be a manager, to be able to head an organization. And SOM does those things very well, as we all know. So that was sort of the baseline, but I knew I needed to learn those things. So I had the opportunity to take a wide range of courses across the curriculum to engage in those kinds of core content areas. But beyond that, I also had, and I think we all recognize this, that the quality and character of the relationships that we build at SOM are life-changing then and thereafter. And that was my experience as well. I was absolutely blown away, in the first instance enormously intimidated, and then thereafter just inspired by the quality of classmates that I had, the nature of discourse in the classroom, the ways we worked together, and what I could learn from them. So those relationships were very meaningful. And because of the content of the work I was doing, the relationships I was building, I was able to begin to shape a vision for what kind of career I wanted to have. That was ambitious, that was channeling my passion for the arts with my interest in management and leadership. And SOM provided a platform and a basis around which to explore those interests in a wide-ranging way. As we all know, the university is a vast resource, and it is available to us to explore in ways that was really very much encouraged and very meaningful. So that was very powerful for me. And then ultimately, then it gave me the perspective to be able to guide that career journey in ways that was very meaningful. I didn't learn everything I needed to know at SOM to have the career that I had thereafter, as an academic professor, as a dean, as a college president, as a museum leader, and actually as a management consultant. I didn't learn everything I needed to learn then. But I was given the basis for a lifetime of learning and the relationships thereafter that helped me to channel all those experiences in meaningful ways. And whenever I had a question or a concern or an opportunity or an idea, the SOM network was there for me, then and always. And that's why I'm here today, because I am deeply committed to understanding and appreciating that value in ways that is meaningful to others as well. So my experience has changed my life at SOM. I'm grateful then, I continue to be grateful. And I'm here today with Daniel and Anna, and we're going to talk a little bit about their experience as well. And Daniel, maybe you could start by telling us a little bit about your experience in Kenya.
Thank you. So I recently came back from Kenya, actually just landed in yesterday. And as part of my curriculum, I'm taking this global social enterprise course by Tony Sheldon. And it focuses on students being able to go into emerging economies and working with social enterprises to be able to solve problems. And as part of it, me and my team are focusing on this company based in Kenya that is looking at providing 1 billion homesteads in the next 10 or so years with clean cooking options. Of course, trying to get them to shift from using kerosene and charcoal, which predominantly have adverse effects to their healthcare. And so being born and raised in Kenya, I've seen the impact that poverty can do to any individual. Not being able to access the resources that me and you have been able to access because we got the opportunity to come to Yale. And the whole concept about business and society really comes out clearly because when you're down there and you're looking at what your impact is, being able to create for somebody who otherwise will not have had access to simple things such as clean cooking, it just blows my mind away. And for me, bringing dignity to that level is really the core of about what we do in Yale SOM, that being able to use the opportunity that we have gotten in this particular platform and being able to raise somebody else's life, being able to see them move away from a very advanced type of fuel in terms of cooking to something that really can be able to, on one side, enable them to cook faster, but at the same time really uplift their lifestyle. So for me, that's really the core about what SOM stands for.
Thank you, Dan. That's very, very interesting. Can you say a word about how values-driven leadership was taught to you at Yale, or how that experience at Yale has informed your vision of what's to come?
So I came in pretty much looking at business from one side, which is transactional. So I'm thinking about results. And one of the things that you start realizing over time is when you do such projects, the impact that your work does is beyond business. You're not about building revenues and building money, but you're seeing how your own source of knowledge and information that you've created by sitting in class with these diverse teams and students just starts helping you realize on how impactful your learning and everything that you do in Yale can actually create impact out there. So you basically are starting to look at life from a totally different angle. You're not just focusing on trying to get people to get you business. You're trying to look at now, how do I use this to be able to create more impact to the people that actually need it out there?
Well said. I think one of the great benefits of that experience for you, and in some ways a gift, is to understand the power of leadership to change lives. And if you have that experience in your career early on, it's very, very reinforcing.
Exactly.
So thank you. And Anna, talk to us a little bit about your experience. You're part of the generation that will always be known as the COVID generation. So how was SOM for you?
So one thing that COVID definitely did not change about my SOM experience was the pervasiveness of the mission. So I've been part of a lot of quote-unquote mission-driven organizations, and SOM is the first place where everyone in the building can quote the mission verbatim, and it comes up at least once a week. So another thing that I was really excited about at SOM was the ability to take classes outside the business school. As I've sort of become more self-aware about what makes me a better leader, I've learned that one of the most helpful things I can do is study history. So I'm in 2 undergrad history seminars this semester. I'm thinking about 17th century Dutch joint stock companies and how Neville Chamberlain's leadership style influenced the Munich conference, and having all kinds of fun. On a more practical note, though, I did come to business school to get a job. I recruited for consulting, which is this incredibly labor-intensive, time-consuming process. And I think this is another area where SOM's community really shines. So at SOM, this process is based on second years volunteering their time to help first years get internships. When I did finally get to my internship over the summer, I was shocked at the number of my peers at other business schools who had to pay people to edit their resumes or do practice cases with them, whereas I felt like I had this army of friends and supporters that I could call on at any time I needed anything. So I did end up getting an internship, and then of course I was thrilled to pay that forward this year as a case coach.
That's great. One of the things I think that SOM does extraordinarily well is we talk about bringing in a very diverse and intellectually wide-ranging group of students. But then also what SOM does is provides the opportunity to take advantage of the university as an intellectual community that allows individuals to explore their interests in ways that allows them to flourish on their own terms. And that is, I think, the most distinctive aspect of the leading business schools, schools of organization and management, that I can think of. That is one of the things about SOM that's utterly distinct. I had that experience, you clearly had that experience as well. And obviously it has served you well, and you're on your way to a very exciting and ambitious career, which is great. So what we wanted to do in this session is talk a little bit about the ways in which across generations our experiences have been really informed and what is possible based on what we had happen for us here at SOM. And to be sure, that's one aspect of the SOM mission that's really important. And Dan, can you say something about what would you say is the greatest surprise that you've encountered in coming to SOM?
So I started off by saying that I grew up in Kenya, so a lot of my experiences were localized to the Kenyan context. And therefore, coming to this scene was a little bit of a surprise one, because I came into a class of 26 plus different nationalities, people who could speak 8-10 languages. I've traveled 58 countries, and all I could imagine is that I've traveled really in one country. And that was one of the surprises, because when you walk into that class, you feel like you have 26 different ways of looking at life. And for me, that was an opportunity for me to unlearn and relearn, because there's a lot of things that my perspective about life are informed about, pretty much how I was brought up. And everybody else has a different type of experience. And when you merge and bring in 26 different perspectives, you have a winning game. It's like 26 different ideas in order to be able to build a business. That's just marvelous. And for me, that's the biggest surprise that I had in Yale. And it continues to remain home for me, because I felt far away from home when I came here, but that community has helped me feel like this is another home I have in Yale. Yep.
That's great. Well, if one aspect of the university or of the School of Management is to connect us to the university's vast resources and allow us to avail ourselves of them, another is to bring the world to campus. And indeed, that has happened. Those opportunities change the experience for all of us on the ground in the School of Management. And I think both together work in a remarkably synergistic way to transform the institution and the opportunities for all of us who have the privilege of studying there. Another aspect of SOM that is really fundamental is the importance of academic research and the role of the faculty. Every research university across all divisions of the institution must focus on the advancement of knowledge, the creation of new knowledge and new ideas, and SOM does that brilliantly. And in the next section, we're going to talk about that as well. Thank you.
The most enduring thing a great academic institution provides to the world is the excellence of its scholarship, the unbiased nature of its critical assessment and judgment. We're in a market competition. World-class faculty have options. It means equipping that faculty with the resources and tools that will raise the quality of the work they do. At Yale SOM, advancing knowledge is a driving purpose.
We take research and scholarship very, very seriously, and it gets reflected in our teaching. right? And so the same type of rigor that we apply to the questions that we're studying in the research world, right? We expect our students to also follow that same type of rigor rather than allowing them to take shortcuts.
I think there's a lot of support for kind of doing something a little bit different, for being bold, for being independent, and seeing that, and this is part of, I think, what differentiates that, as not a departure from the common good, but actually as a contribution to the common good at Yale School of Management.
So I think business schools have a higher mandate than just academic research, writing case studies, working with companies, bringing them together for think tanks and roundtables, and that's a lot of the things we do. And students benefit from all that because they get to see all this in practice.
The faculty is amazing. They're all so experienced and they just know so much about what they're teaching. But it's not just that. It's not just the perspective they bring in, but they're also incredibly friendly. They want to help you learn.
Even if we're talking about, finance or something that you wouldn't think there's that kind of and society bit to it, I love the way the professors always find a way to kind of tie it back in to that core mission.
Data and data science has become a massive part of everything we do in the business world, and that requires resources.
So I guess the challenge is going to be potentially getting resources to basically purchase that data and generating data centers at the university for researchers like me to use that data to answer the questions that we actually care and are important.
When you were teaching in business schools in the 70s or the 80s, you didn't have to change stuff all that much. You didn't have to hire cutting-edge new people because things weren't that different year to year. But now they are. And so the biggest challenge for us, and I think for our peer institutions, is to make sure that we are always working on the most important relevant things for the world and for our students.
I think it's really important to emphasize faculty research, that they have the resources they need and the time they need and the support they need to really focus on their areas of expertise.
In order to be one of the best business schools in the world, you have to have one of the best faculties in the world. We have to attract and retain high-quality faculty. I think we're doing that. I think we can do more.
You want your faculty to be in demand. So the best kind of faculty are the ones that everybody else in the world wants to hire, and you're constantly trying to remain competitive to keep them here.
At the end of the day, success begets success, right? And it becomes almost like a virtuous circle. So that's why it's really important to feed all the various components of the school to continue to perpetuate excellence.
Hi, I'm Amy Rasneski, and I'm joined by my colleague Song Ma. Song, one of the things that comes through in the video that we just saw is the importance of data. And as a colleague who does research that's very data intensive, I'm wondering if you could talk with us a little bit about what makes data so crucial for the work that we do at SOM.
Of course, Amy, I think you're totally right. As a few of our colleagues mentioned in the video, the use of data and data science in management research has been increasingly important for firms, government, and organizations and the like. And it is also where a lot of knowledge are being created day to day. And the SOM faculty is at the frontier of creating and advancing this knowledge. There are so many exciting things that are happening at SOM research. For example, some of our colleagues are using decades and or even centuries of newspaper, media, textual data to really understand how the economy works and how we can improve economic forecasting. Some of our colleagues collected and gathered millions of university syllabi data to give us a way to look into what happens in higher education and to look at what kind of knowledge are being created and disseminated to students, how we can improve education quality for everybody to improve education equality. Those are just a couple of recent examples. If we look into the future, there are so many things that we can do and we can do better. For example,
we can certainly collect and gather and use more data. We can also build more computation power. We can hire top talent in the area to collaborate. And all those will allow us to go after even bigger questions, take bigger steps, to take more risk in addressing the really pressing issues of the world. And what makes me particularly satisfying in this endeavor is that what we discover in this data science revolution go into the classroom almost immediately. We know we're equipping our students with something really powerful, can make them a very, very powerful leader in the future. But I do also want to mention that this is a traditional theme for the SOM, to bring cutting-edge research into the classroom that is even beyond data science that we just talked about. In fact, I think you are someone that have always been admiring as someone who excels at bringing top-notch research into the classroom. And what is your thoughts on this kind of complementarity between advancing knowledge in research and bringing into the classroom?
Well, thank you for that. I would say that if we think about the role of research in our classrooms, to me, it's one of the profound things that really sets SOM apart. I see it as, there are a couple of ways to get a world-class education. You could go to an institution where the faculty are well-trained in how to instruct and convey fields of information that they themselves have not necessarily been a part of building. Or you can get a world-class education by being part of an institution where the faculty who are teaching you care very much about that teaching, but they're probably spending sometimes up to 80% of their time in the trenches doing research, collecting data, analyzing data, dealing with academic journals, sort of getting that cutting edge knowledge out into the world. And the benefit of that kind of institution is the students get to live that cutting edge too. They get to hear about the work as it's happening. They get to hear about new ideas before they're even hitting the journals or hitting the public sphere. Many of our students become involved in doing research with our faculty. All of these are ways in which we bring that research into the classroom in ways that bring it alive. The other thing that I would say is being part of a community like this gives our students, who will soon enough be our alumni, lifetime access to the faculty and to the people who live on that leading edge in their own work. And so, for me, this becomes really critical in terms of thinking about a lifelong impact of knowledge and research.
I totally agree. In fact, I want to add to that by saying that I think one of the distinguishing features of the research that are being done here and the knowledge being disseminated in the classroom is that we're always trying to be one step ahead. By saying that, I mean that the SOM student and faculty really want to jump on things before they become mainstream. We want to look at the next big thing and be the critical people who brings that from non-existence to something really big. I mean, the data science that I just mentioned is just one recent example. But if you look at the intellectual history of the SOM, the list is really long. I'm just going to name a few that are very familiar to our SOM community. For example, the use of behavioral science, behavioral economics into thinking about how decisions are made in the real world, to think about climate change and sustainable growth, the thinking about financial stability and how to fix financial crisis, inequality issues in both workplace and in the society, how to use management skills to increase public goods services like public education, digital platforms and its antitrust, the gig economy and the labor market. This is an extremely long list and it is going to grow. And I think working on those early stage important next step issues it certainly requires a lot of insights and expertise, but importantly, I think it is driven by our mission as a community, our ambition to really try to make an impact and create a better future. I think that is why we always try to look at the next big thing and then try to work on that to engage everybody of the community to make a contribution to that.
I love that point. And I think this idea of what it means to have an impact on the future, what it means to have an impact on the world in a way that really matters is a theme that is moving all through our discussions today. And it reminds me of a story that now something like 16 years ago when I first gave a research talk here at the School of Management, that opportunity yielded the path that brought me here. And part of what made that so important for me personally was in the context of giving that talk, I ended up sharing a story in response to a question question, where I talked about the ways in which I teach topics related to the meaning of work and motivation at work and things of this nature. And when I talk about that work, I sometimes talk about the research measures that get used to assess how people think about the meaning of their work in various ways. And one of the items that I would show to my students at other institutions, not at Yale, read something like, "My work makes the world a better place." And something that struck me is that this item often got a little bit of laughter from the classroom, and I would always process that laughter with the students after we had finished with this part of the class. And it turns out it was coming from two places. One, feeling as though the work that they did or thought that they would go on to do doesn't make the world a better place, and in fact, they worry might do the opposite. And the second is that they felt perhaps that work that they were doing shouldn't necessarily be concerned with making the world a better place. And when I relayed that story, the feedback that I got from the faculty at SOM was, this kind of thing would never happen here. Our students care so much across sectors, across industries, and across the world about the nature of the impact that their work will have, that first and foremost in their mind are thinking about the ways in which their work could make the world a better place. And I believe that now, having taught here for so many years, it's part of what makes me so proud to be a part of this community, are the ways in which, the very varied ways in which our students have sought to make the world a better place through the impact that they have with this education. And so it's a perfect transition to the next theme that we'll be visiting, which has to do with amplifying impact. Thank you.
Driving purpose is at the heart of everything we do. Our founding mission is our lodestar, guiding our decisions. By staying true to that mission and prioritizing our campaign goals, we can ensure that SOM maintains a preeminent role in educating leaders for business and society. Yale SOM is driving purpose by amplifying impact through expanding and engaging our local community.
So after I graduate, I'm really interested in working in the public markets, either in investment management or some kind of equity research.
I'm really eager to and really interested to see how I can make a significant improvement back in my home country.
Upon graduation, I plan to start working in private equity, and in 5 to 10 years later, I want to venture into impact investing to use the power of capital to do something good and positive for our society. So that's my plan after Yale SOM.
Yale SOM is distinctively global. It has been an important part of the school's mission for a long time. The network that the school has globally is exceptional. And one thing that Dean Charles has prioritized, and everyone has really bought in, is you have to think of this business school in global terms.
Our students now have an international experience or multiple international experiences through which they can share their insights with others across the world and also learn more about how business ideas are applied in other countries.
There's the Center for Business Environment, which I helped co-direct, which is a collaboration between the School of Management and the School of the Environment, but also involves the Jackson School, it involves the Law School, we have Public Health School, it also involves the New Haven community, it also involves universities from around the world. So this collaboration is key.
Program for Stakeholder Capitalism is really to study and disseminate how companies are creating values for all stakeholders in today's world. So we're writing a case on Nike, potentially on Starbucks, on Nielsen, which is really illustrating how companies are using this multi-stakeholder approach to create value in the marketplace.
It was my experience at SOM and the relationships that I made and what I learned in the classroom and what I saw around me in terms of the impact that my classmates were making that allowed me to see that I can run a business if I want to, and I can make an impact in a room, and I can be an expert in a room, and I can help organizations do better.
You have this community of entrepreneurial alumni who are just incredibly engaged in giving back from a time perspective that is just, I think, one of the most important things you can do.
And I think the work that our alumni do really embodies the mission. Even if you meet business leaders who don't self-identify as social entrepreneurs, they're working on building businesses that invest in people, that invest in the environment, and that invest in the community. And so they're having a huge impact.
As a donor, I think you have an opportunity to help fund and propel an institution that really has a mission to enhance and make society better through the training of business leaders. And that's pretty exciting to me. You know, if that doesn't excite you, I'm not really sure what's going to excite you.
Hello, I'm Paula Volent, the Vice President and Chief Investment Officer of the Rockefeller University and a proud Yale School of Management alumna about to celebrate my 25th reunion. I am so honored to have been asked to participate in this really important day for Yale School of Management, a day and an initiative that will position Yale School of Management to tackle global issues through leadership far into the future. I am joined here with Julian Love from the class of 23, and so quite a difference, a 25-year gap. But I wanted to amplify and come back to the topic of impact and tie those back to the mission of the Yale School of Management. So Julian, you are just about finishing your first year at Yale School of Management, and you have already made quite an impact through participation in clubs and projects. So I thought it would be interesting for you to go over some of those projects and tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks, Paula. So I'll get to that, but I'll start first with why SOM for me. So I've built my career thus far between social impact organizations and for-profit entities, and then specifically at the intersection focusing on how to leverage business strategy, economics, and technology to deepen and further social impact. And so what I learned about the SOM mission, I quickly realized it was the only MBA program that was truly right for me. And so I'm so grateful to be here. And since being at SOM, I've been able to serve in the leadership for the Startup and Entrepreneurship Club, the Yale Blockchain Club, which I know you're interested in.
Yes.
And then Yale Social Ventures. And I want to highlight an experience with Yale Social Ventures that I think really embodies the SOM mission. So we're working with a global VC firm based in India, and we're helping them explore leveraging decentralized finance, which is blockchain-based finance, to further financial inclusion in emerging markets. And I think working at this with the cutting edge technology and technology application to really enhance people's quality of life is why a lot of us came to SOM. And I'm so fortunate to be doing that work. And so bringing it back to New Haven, I had a conversation with Dean Charles where he emphasized the importance of making an impact here in our local community. And so I'm working with a fellow first-year MBA student, Osa Ekator, to build a program where we're going to work with New Haven High School students and expose them to careers and opportunities they never have thought was possible. We're going to use SOM students who have a similar background to tell their stories because we believe that representation matters. Throughout these experiences, I've really what's dawned onto me is the importance of working collectively. So you can make an impact individually, but when collaborating with other students and really leveraging their unique insights and experience and knowledge base, that impact can grow exponentially. And not just classmates, but also with alumni. Exactly. So alumni have been very eager to support and be a sounding board and make a connection where possible, and that has been extremely empowering. And so I'll just kind of end with this in terms of alumni. Immediately after receiving my admittance to Yale SOM, I got a call from Tony Lynn, who's an alumni. And he told me something that really stuck with me. He told me that during his experience, everybody who came here and set out to do something, no matter how big it was, they eventually ended up doing that exact thing. And through my years so far and getting to know second years and understanding what they're going off to do in my journey so far, I found that to be emphatically true. And so I want to kick it back to you and I ask you, As an alumna, what excites you about working with SOM and crafting the future of the school?
Well, Yale School of Management changed my life. I came here thinking I was going to stay in the arts where I was. I wanted to get hard-nosed finance, but also not-for-profit, the sort of ability to work with groups and also to work in a not-for-profit. And one thing led to the other, and I segued to finance under the guidance of David Swenson and the Yale Investments Office. So I've been very loyal to Yale. I travel all over the world looking for investments to support the mission of, I was at Bowdoin College, now I'm at the Rockefeller University, and everywhere I go, I meet Yale School of Management students or alumni that are doing amazing things. They are in the arts, they are in the public sector, they are in the not-for-profit NGOs, but they're all over the world, and there's this sort of secret acknowledgement that we have been through a really amazing program and we want to carry it forward. When I was here, I was at the Hall of Mirrors, the old building, and so seeing the progress and the amount of new programs, and also, as you say, blockchain. I'm working on blockchain investments to be talking about the impact that blockchain can have is something that's cutting edge and that Yale School of Management will continue. So I am very excited about the campaign. I think that given the sort of complexity of the global world right now, SOM is more important than ever to sponsor leadership, critical thinking, and also diversity. And I think the impact that Yale School of Management has made is phenomenal. And I just look forward, I love seeing students like you doing that. I really love meeting new students and students who have really appreciated the Yale experience. And so I am so thankful to be here today, and I am really excited about this campaign. This is the future of Yale School of Management, and I hope you'll join me in participating in a big way. I'm going to transition this to Kerwin, and again, I'm honored to have been asked to participate in this exciting day. So thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
Yep.
I am deeply impressed and reassured about the future of SOM every time I spend even a brief moment with our faculty, our students, our alums. Every time I observe their great work, their comradeship, and their commitment to this school of ours. I hope that you have the same impression and that you feel the same reassurance having interacted with them over the last hour or so. We have big dreams at SOM, but as befitting a school of management, for my money, the best school of management there is, we think hard and consider carefully the strategy and resources needed to fully achieve our ambitions. Our goal for the Driving Purpose campaign, our goals are bold, both in terms of fundraising and engagement. We seek to raise at least, and I want to really stress the at least, $325 million by July 2026. $325 million at least. At the same time, we want to strengthen engagement with all of our alums and friends and to grow our community. Both arms of this campaign are essential, and they are mutually reinforcing. What can someone thinking of supporting SOM, thinking of investing in us, expect from their investment? Let's imagine we're all together again in 2026 for a big party to celebrate the close of the stunningly successful Driving Purpose campaign. What will our school look like then? First, we will have redoubled our commitment to our mission. Our investments in scholarships and the student experience, investments in faculty and in research, in our centers and programs, and in our global community, will serve to train better and more capable leaders for all kinds of organizations. We will have made marked and sustainable progress on a whole range of issues related to racial justice, equity, and diversity, both within our institution and through the impact we have through our scholarship and leadership. Our community will be humming with the energy that comes from being a part of something big, something grand, where our values are supported and encouraged, and where we feel deep in our bones that we are contributing to the meaningful solutions of the world's problems. That'll be a heck of a party. It will also mark the 50th anniversary of the arrival of the first SOM students. There will be much to celebrate. We know what we have to do before then. It's going to be a lot of work. We need you, all of you, to contribute your time, your insight, your energy, as well as your financial support. You should have every confidence that you will see long-term exponential gains from your timely investment in SOM. What is so special about this place is best seen in the people who care about it, in the way our alumni lead and conduct their lives every single day, in the unflagging dedication of our faculty and our staff, and in the passion of our students. It's inspiring to be with you today. I finished this kickoff event more excited than ever as we launch the school into its next 50 years. Thank you for joining us today and for being a part of driving purpose, the Yale SOM campaign.